Oh, good night. What was that? Oh, the keys. So as I'm putting this back together, I might as well give you a bit of a history lesson. And see if I can bore you. See if I can bore more of my audience members away. It's amazing how hard it is to actually get people to watch your videos. So unless you have a laughing dog or something, or some sort of cat video, I think you're pretty knackered, you know. But yeah, again, the reason why I make these videos is mainly to help. Well, actually, it's mainly to help myself remember how I actually fix these things, or how, you know, I did a certain thing, because as time goes on, it's going to become more and more difficult to remember. So it's good to sort of write it down, or, you know, in this case, put it into a video. And this way, if I put it into a video, at least other people can learn from what I've learned, and maybe gain something from the experience. This power supply, which is interesting insofar as it actually outputs 220 volts. Most of the ISA, most of the 386 sort of AT sort of power supplies are in and around the range of, you know, 200. You'll find, I know on the AST machine there was 145 watts. So anything in and around 200, 145, 150 will be more than adequate to run the likes of 386. Nowadays you can actually use, this is a proprietary power supply, so it's not the same size. It doesn't comply to the standard ATX style power supply, so that's a problem. But we won't worry about that too much. It is running, so the most likely thing to blow on this is going to be the likes of the capacitors, where they dry out and are no longer filtering out that current the way they should be. That's the most likely thing to blow on them. But other than that, you should be fairly rosy in the garden. Yeah, so how did it happen? How did that screw, there's a screw missing there, I think, isn't it? I don't know. Oh, that's missing, yeah. Yeah, so basically originally we had, in the house, we had a Commodore 64. And it came the time that it was time to basically go from the Commodore era of computing to an actual desktop PC, the PC or the IBM compatible. So my father went out and he sourced a company in town, I think it was called the Computer Hospital, and basically they were selling computers that were in there. They were basically selling computers in there, and they had 386 machines, and he would basically talk about the fact that you could upgrade them in the future with you know, a simple drop-in card, and these 386s were you know, the last of a dying breed, and if you wanted, you could have one of the earlier 486s. And what's interesting is that the 486 machine was probably going to be available probably didn't have a maths coprocessor either, but yeah. So it was just a simple fact at the time of taking out the 386 board and popping the 486 board, but that never happened. As it turned out, we later had to go back to them, and we basically had to get a maths coprocessing chip from them for the 16 megahertz machine. And yeah, as I say, the rest is history. So let's okay. So yeah, we talked about this before, but again, like I said, we're going to go through it again. This is the motherboard part of the computer. And this computer comes in two parts. It has the motherboard base, and it has the daughterboard which plugs into this, which we'll do in a few minutes. But one thing I noticed there actually was these pads were here, so this is falling off. So this is the, where is it then? That was like that or something. That's the cable management of the 1980s. How's that? Lovely, isn't it? One thing you can do is take them off. They're just going to fall off and go into the machine or get sucked up by the fan or something daft. One thing you can do, and probably should do, is these old cables here. This old cable here is maybe upgraded to the newer type Centronics cable. There's no necessarily requirement, but if one of these cables goes bad, there's no harm. You can upgrade to the new type and it won't do any harm. There are actually two floppy drive controller cards on this, which is nice. So you can plug in two separate floppy drive controllers if you want to, but I don't know why anybody want to do that. Considering you can use one cable and basically have it split, but yeah, you can add two floppy drives to it. So yeah, that's interesting. I'll just show you the other side of the card. Okay, so in this area here we have the Paradise, and eventually Paradise, from what I remember, became part of Western Digital and became the Western Digital Paradise. So in some of the later chips, you'll see a Western Digital's old logo on the actual chip. So that's the main GPU, if you want to call it that, and these are the chips belongs to it, which are actually the memory of the chip. Now the memory on this video card is 256 kilobytes. That's 256 kilobytes. Remember, a floppy disk is 1.4 megabytes at its minimum size. Actually 720 if you want to go to smaller ones, or even, you know, the old style. What are they? The big ones there, what, 320 kilobytes. So basically, what will fit in the floppy disk will fit on this RAM here. So when programming in games gets a bit bigger, it will actually swap between the video RAM and the main RAM to, you know, allow for the fact that it's so fucking teeny, you know. One other thing is the keyboard is the standard AT keyboard, but it also has a PS2 style mouse, which was fairly good for the time. It is, you know, unusual enough on most machines of the Series 386s. They would tend to have just an AT keyboard and then the serial type of mouse connector, and that's basically it. So the AST we're following IBM, I suppose, with the PS2 style keyboard and mouse. They haven't got the keyboard just yet, but they had got the PS2 style mouse. So that's a PS2 keyboard port on the back of this machine. Sorry, PS2 mouse on the back of this machine, and you got the standard AT. For the keyboard. I didn't think it was worth retaking the hard drive back out of the machine again just to show you this. And this hard drive, you know, again, just like the network card, the quality stuff that lasts is all made in Ireland. The other hard drive was made in America, so it's lost about 15 subscribers, and it blew up. It tried to melt the machine, but the Irish one is still going strong, you know, bigger. Oh yes. No. Anyway, this hard drive, yeah, from Quantum. Manufactured here in Ireland, which is fascinating, because most of the technology companies that are here in Ireland at this stage are all virtual or cloud based, and you never want to say like that. They have physical presences here, but they don't actually manufacture stuff here in Ireland. That's a story for another channel, I think, you know. But yeah, there's the Quantum, and made in Ireland, proudly stamped on the cover. Because so we start with the video card. Put that in first. Then we put in the daughter board, which has our CPU on it. Now, of interest on this is that I've noticed on these machines, for some reason, they always seem to put them on the middle slot. Now, I don't know what that's about or why they did that, but all the machines I've ever opened up with this particular model always had this card on the middle slot. I don't think it makes any difference. I think it's just to allow some airflow. That's all I can really think of. But other than that, I don't know why you would specifically pick the middle slot over anything else. But got it all pushed there, make sure it's nice and firmly in, and we'll have to borrow some screws off something else here. I think we'll find screws in a moment. We won't worry about that for now. And then finally, then our network card. We plug that in here, this slot here, and same way. So there's no sound card in this machine at the moment, but I swear I hadn't got one, you know. You've already got 1,000 or 2,000 of them, you know. But we get a sound card for it a little bit later on. It won't really matter for our demos, I suppose, because they're all going to be sound free, really, aren't they? Yeah, we'll get a sound card later. And just take this off of here. Just want to make sure this particular card is in place properly. So I'm just always worried about this card falling out. The rest, I'm not too worried about. There we go. And we're in. So now the next thing to do is we'll go into we'll turn the PC on in the next video, and what we'll do then is we'll start setting up the machine. So thanks for watching this video, and if you like what you see, please press like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.